Romans 12:2 says, "And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." That's Romans 12:2, and it's the most important verse in the Bible today, special edition. This really has been a labor of love. Matter of fact, today is Thursday. Just past Sunday, I was able to speak with my congregation at church, and I gave a message, if you will, called "Renewing Your Mind." It was born from this verse. This is, number one, is my favorite verse. Okay, in the most personal way, this verse has changed my life, and this is the verse that I wanted to share with my nephew Bob. Matter of fact, in my notes, it's all about him. In the speech that I gave, it was all about sharing with him, helping him understand a few things. And I've been trying to make this video for the past couple of days, trying to sit down here talking to you. I even tried making a video out of the old sermon that I told just last week. But here I am. I'm just going to pour my heart out here, okay? I'm just going to loosely work off my notes, but this is the most important verse in the Bible today, and it's the most needed. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the... It says in the NIV, when I first read it, I read, "And do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." It was probably close to 20 years ago now when I first read this verse. Matter of fact, it was 17 years ago. And people, whoever's watching this, some may remember me as a drug addict. Some may know me as a drug dealer. Some may know me as a despot, as a... My life, for the longest time, it was hard. You know, life isn't easy. I get that. I know that. And for the longest time, I was for like 28 years, I had the same repeating nightmare. I couldn't escape it. I was miserable. I was self-loathing. I specialized in self-loathing, and so on and so forth. And just, regardless to say, my life was messed up. But I you know, as people do, we try to masquerade ourselves. And of course, I would, you know, always overplay that thing and be the jerk, you know, be the funny guy, whatever. But I remember first reading this verse, and it really affected me. Hey, if you remember the old me, and if you've seen the change in my life, because the day I read this verse, it said, "To be transformed by the renewing of your mind," I knew automatically, I understood what that meant. I had to get rid of the music. I had to get rid of the drugs. I had to get rid of the porn. I had to get rid of that lifestyle and be transformed by the renewing of my mind. I had to out with the old, in with the new, as it were. So this is the most important verse because it really played a big part in my conversion, in my Christian walk, in my faith. But this is the most important verse today because I really want to share this with my nephew Bob. He's up in Syracuse, and almost 2 weeks ago now we were online, or no, we were talking on the phone, or both. And I could hear him. I know he's struggling. I know he's in a really bad place. And I can hear him. He thinks he's working the program, but actually the program is working him. Okay? Some who knew me as a drug addict, as a drug dealer, and I just totally lost my mind, and I got into that whole Christianity thing, they may remember. Some of you might even be watching, remember me as the counselor, the 12-step guy, the anger management guy. I know that. I graduated 3 classes out of the 12-step sobriety thing, and I could tell you the 12-step program is a sham. It's a lie. It is well disguised. It may have the best of intentions, but it's a lie. I could tell you from personal experience, as a group leader, meeting with the man who wrote the book, I can tell you it is a sham. It's a lie. It comes from Saddleback Community Church. Anyone who knows, Rick Warren and John what's-his-face is okay. They're calling themselves Christians, but you know them by their fruits, the Bible says. And I went to 12-step. I went to these leadership seminars and stuff. I could tell you, it's a sham. It's a lie. It's a ruse. It's a masquerade, and it's just the 12 steps to destruction, not sobriety. But the people who would coming out of drug addiction or whatever have the best of intentions, but they're being played, like my nephew Bob being played, because I hear him talking the talk. So this is a labor of love, and I'm sorry this whole introduction part is going way too long, but I just want you to understand I have a personal, first-hand knowledge in what I'm about to share with you. Okay? I should have just said that and just let it be. But today, the most important verse in the Bible, and probably of all times. I know it's my personal favorite. I know it had a life-changing power. There was an indescribable, more than just an aha moment when I read this. There was a power that I was imbued. It was just received. I was just covered, and just once you get a hold of this verse, you get a hold of this verse, and you understand what it says, it will change your life. It will rock your world. It'll turn your day into night. Or wait, your night into day. Okay, let's just get into this. Okay, I'm going to loosely edit my notes here from Sunday, but like I said, I'm going to call this renewing your mind, and it was born out of a heart of desperation for my nephew Bob, and for the countless other postmodernists out there today who struggle with moral absolutes. You can go to a 12-step group and still struggle with moral absolutes. What is moral absolute? Good and evil, heaven and hell, and compulsory spiritual truths. Compulsory means just mandatory. It's one way or another, and it's either addiction or sobriety. It's salvation or damnation. And these people are going to these groups, are treading that line. They're walking the tightrope. I know people. I've been to groups that hi, my name is Fred, and I've been an alcoholic for 35 years. No, I've been in AA for 35 years. Their identity is still, hi, I'm an alcoholic. They've been going to groups for 40 years, 35 years, and still identify themselves as an alcoholic. It's crazy. That is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results every time. You go to group over and over again, and you're working the program, and you're stuck in a rut. I'm telling you, that's where they want you. That's where they need you to be. Don't you want to break free? Aren't you tired of being a slave? Anybody, everybody, a slave to your own demons, if you will. I was a drug addict for 38 years. I hated it. And the more I tried to quit, the more I ended up doing. So I understand bondage. I understand slavery. Don't you want to be free? 12 steps will not break you free. Okay? AA, your book of the AA book, the book, will not set you free. It holds you in bondage. And I'm passionate because I know from a first-hand experience, Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world. Conform. Let's look up that word in the dictionary, okay? And do not be conformed. Let's truly understand what the Bible is saying here. It says, do not conform. To conform means to act in accordance or comply. So do not conform to the pattern of this world. Don't act in accordance with this world. Don't comply with the world, okay? to act in accord with the prevailing standards, attitudes, etc. of a group. You should get a hold of that. I don't need to either. Okay, part 3. Conform also means to become similar in form or character. You go to a group and you are in a cookie cutter mode. I can tell you from first-hand experience, okay? Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but here's the kicker: to be transformed. And I in my notes Sunday, we broke down these words. I gave you strong concordance, reference numbers, and so on and so forth. But for here and now, I could tell you, transform in this context. If you are even remotely familiar with the Bible, there's a passage in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where Jesus goes up on the mount with his 3 favorite disciples, and he was the Mount of Transfiguration, we call it. He was transfigured. He was transformed. He was totally different. He metamorphosized, okay? And it doesn't mean like it says, where was it? In 2 Corinthians, maybe? Let me look it up. It's in my notes. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, where it says, and no wonder, for even Satan transforms himself into an angel of light. You do word studies. I love doing word studies. In that content and in that context, conform means masquerade. But in this context, in Romans 12:2, it means to be transfigured. To put a mask on, or to be totally transfigured, to be metamorphosized, to metamorphosis. Totally changed, like you understand. You understand. Romans 12:2 is the most important verse in the Bible of all time. It changed my life. It rocked my world, and it will do the same for you if you let it, if you want it to. If you read it and believe it, grab a hold of it. And I was going to say, I don't know. I don't know. There's something here, but maybe you understand what I'm trying to say. Use this verse. Utilize this verse. Let it become part of you. You know, out with the old, in with the new. Get rid of the book and bring in the Word of God. Okay, because that's the only way we'll ever change. I can tell you from first-hand experience, Romans 12:2 is the most important verse in the Bible today. And do not be conformed to this world. Or as it says in the NIV, and do not be conformed to the pattern of this world. But be transformed, to be transfigured by the renewing of your mind. Now, get a hold of this. Because in 1 Corinthians 1:27, it also says, oh, wait a minute. I'm going ahead of myself. I don't know where to go. I don't know. I want to go to my notes and give you all this head knowledge, give you all this scholarly knowledge. Because that's good. You know, knowledge is power, to say. So I want to share that with you. But you know what? You have to get it for yourself. And also, the only thing I can do is just point you in the right direction. And if you want, then you'll do it yourself. But I want you to get a hold of just this one verse, because if you get it, and if you understand it, and if you allow it, if you employ it, you'll become a brand new man. People might think you're crazy. I know they probably still do about me. Oh, Mike's a drug dealer. Oh, Mike's all this and all that. You know, people, I don't know. I don't know if they're watching, because I know most of my friends hate me. And that's okay. I understand. We all have choices to make. We all pick sides if you want to go that way. We'll just say we're all on different teams now. But I love them as much, if not more, now than I did then. And there's a song by Eddie Money. This isn't in my notes, but, you know, my friends, my friends. I love that song, and it's heartbreaking because I can feel that. My friends will never get together again because, you know, they think I'm weird. And maybe I am. But you know what? I've been a fool for lesser things. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Now, I can walk you through my notes. I can show you what that means, but just understand, just listen, just, let it sink in. To be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Now, I could spend a week on that so that you may prove what is that good, not bad, acceptable, pleasing. And here it is. Here's the kicker. Here's the selling point. The perfect will of God. And I could take you to all these verses right now. And I'm half tempted to, because this is good stuff. The perfect will of God. God is not willing that any should perish. And He's giving us all an opportunity. He's giving us all enough time to choose for ourselves. He doesn't want to make the choice for us. Otherwise, He wouldn't be God. He wants us to see both sides of the picture here, the both sides of the road before you set up shop on one side or the other. The perfect will of God is that, it says where? Hosea. And what does the Lord require of you, O man, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Why is that so hard to... Why do people hate that so much? People hate on Christians because, when Jesus was born, the whole Christmas story, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Why do people get so offended by that? Peace on earth and goodwill toward men. And we just pull our hair out screaming, oh, I can't handle that. God is this or that, and so on and so forth. It confounds me. It doesn't make any sense. Much like the way this video is going. It's not making any sense. And I almost want to apologize for that. But I'm not going to, because I'm just giving you the truth. I'm sharing my heart. And I make no excuses for that. I want you to understand Romans 12:2. And do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed, to be transfigured by the renewing of your mind. If you just get that alone, by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God in your own life, in your own circumstances, in your own way. Because Christianity is not a cookie-cutter religion. And it's not a religion, it's a relationship. But you notice there's some Christians who still go through hard times. Most Christians, we all have different walks in life. We all have a different, we're all wired differently. And God knows that. He's going to use us for His purposes. And my ministry might be different than your ministry, and yours might be different than so on and so forth. And you get the idea. We all have a different job to do. We can't all be digging a ditch, because then we'll reach China before you know it. Some people have to haul away the dirt and put it someplace else. Some people have to use that dirt and grow a garden, and so on and so forth. What's this terrible metaphor? I'm off script. I'm just speaking from the heart, because this is the most important verse in the Bible today. And I'm barely even awake. I'm going to be late for work. But I feel it necessary that I get this out today. The most important verse in the Bible, special edition. I want to dedicate this to my nephew Bob. And Bob, I hope you're watching this. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Read the Bible, not the AA book, not any other book by Joe Schmo or Bill or Ted or anything like that, okay? Because they have an agenda. I can tell you from first-hand experience, I've been to the seminars. You notice I don't still go to that same church, right? You got to ask yourself why. If you're a Christian, why did you leave that church? Why did you leave that church? Because in the name of Christianity, people, it's even all throughout the Bible, it warns of false brothers, false teachers, false prophets. They're everywhere. They're a dime a dozen. We got to be transformed by the renewing. We got to get rid of the old and in with the new. We got to get rid of the fakes and the phonies in our life. And believe me, I was surrounded by them when I was dealing. Oh, everyone's my friend, right? Not one of them. Not one of them. How many people still owe me money? I don't care. Your debt has been forgiven, okay? Because that guy, that drug dealer Mike, he's dead. He's dead and buried. He's gone. I'm not going to go by that identity. Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm a drug dealer. No, that guy is dead. So why do you go to group? Hi, my name is Fred, and I'm an alcoholic. Or hi, my name is Joe, and I'm a heroin addict. No, you're not. If you want to be, fine. That's your choice. But you can't be both. You're one or the other. You can't walk that. I'm telling you, that's a path to slavery, to damnation, to hell. They're taking you to hell. But most people are enjoying the ride. That is their prerogative. I'm not going to take away your rights. But if you want what is best, what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God, then you got to get a hold of it for yourself. And the only way you can do that is by reading the Bible, by praying to God, not to Buddha, okay? That Muhammad didn't die for your sins. I don't care what they're saying, okay? Confucius, forget about it. Hare Krishna. I mean, there's so many different religions out there. It's hard to tell which one's real, right? The proof is in the pudding. The power is in the Bible. You don't have any power. Oh, hi, self-help books, self-help groups. That is the most idiotic double standard in this world, because you're the person that got you in this mess to begin with. So how are you expected to get yourself out? You're still the same person. You still have the same inclinations. You still have the same desires. You got to change. You got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Okay? And that's why Romans 12:2 is the most important verse in the Bible today. This is probably the worst video I made yet, but it's real. It's real. And there might be one or two out there who no one ever watches these things anyways, but I want someone, Bob, you especially, get a hold of this, all right? Understand, I love you. I'm not judging. Believe me, I'm not judging. I care immensely. I care deeply, and I've been where you are, and I can tell you it's a sham. It's a joke. People in California, Saddleback Community Church, are laughing at you. They're laughing at you. The devil is laughing at you. And at the same time, the angels are crying. I could play that song for you right now by Narnia, I think, does the song. To be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So if you're watching this and you remember when I gave up, anyone who knows me knows that music is my life. Music saved my life because I was suicidal for 25, 28 years. I wanted to kill myself. And I even tried a couple times. Music was the only thing that helped. Music saved my life, okay? But now, so if you know that, and then you see that I gave away all my music, I spent thousands of dollars on music, and then I give it all away? Why? What would make a person do that? This verse right here, Romans 12:2. When you understand it, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Out with the old. So if you're listening to, whatever type of music that doesn't glorify God, then guess what? There's no such thing as Christian music. I don't care what you say. There's no such thing as Christian music. Only Christian lyrics. So if your preference is heavy metal, I can give you some Christian heavy metal groups. Some really good lyrics, positive, affirmative, action type of lyrics. There's a couple groups that just do nothing but scripture, and they put heavy metal music to it. Whatever type of music you like, there's Christian artists out there. So if you are putting off becoming a Christian because I don't want to go to listen to a pipe organ, I can't blame you. I don't like pipe organ music myself, but I'm wandering now. And I don't even know how long I've been doing this. How long has it been going? Okay, it's about time to quit. I usually try to keep these short and sweet because Americans, we have the attention span of a fruit fly. If it's more than 30 seconds, we lose interest. And I understand that. But this is the most important verse in the Bible for you today. For me, in my life. Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world. Do not be politically correct. I can go on. And do not be conformed to this world, okay? But be transformed, be transfigured, be totally made new by the renewing of your mind. Knowledge, is power. Can I get a witness? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, by reading the Bible, by not reading the book, by not going to the programs, but by getting into the right... I could preach. I could preach right now, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so what? Why? What's the purpose? So that you may prove, that you can prove, that you can experience, that you can test, that you can attest to, that you can swear by, that you can prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Look up the word perfect in the dictionary. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Good morning. It's my second or third cup of coffee, and I'm probably going to be late for work today. But I really wanted to get this out because I've been struggling all week. I wanted to make a video out of the sermon that I gave Sunday, but that would just mess up the whole flavor of this series of the most important verse in the Bible, which today is, class, what's the most important verse? Romans 12:2. Man, I have to tell you everything. In the credits below, I'm going to list a bunch of other verses that I did use Sunday. That if you want, and I hope you do, that if you want, you can look in the description box below, find these scripture passages, look them up, read them for yourselves, and have your own aha moment. Have that beam of light bust through the ceiling and just shine on that page, and you'll hear the Handel Hallelujah choir playing in your head. Or if you're like me, probably like Iron Maiden type of music. What? It's not that bad. Like I said, there's no such thing as Christian music, just Christian lyrics. Having said that, I want to share with you 1 Peter 1:13, and then we'll say good night, or good morning. I got to go to work. 1 Peter 1:13 says, therefore, now get a hold of this, gird up the loins of your mind. I'm going to put this in the description box below as well. But understand what this verse says. Therefore, anytime you see a therefore, you got to find out what it's there for. So back up and read the whole chapter, okay? 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 13 says, therefore, gird up the loins of your mind. Oh, I love that. Be sober. Be clear-headed. Be thoughtful. Be on purpose, okay? Realize, put one step in front of the other. Be sober. Pay attention. Think of before you act. Be sober. Gird up the loins of your mind and be sober. And I love this. Here's the kicker. And rest your hope fully upon the grace that is to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Now, you look at the world today, you look at all that's going on, and I can tell you without a doubt, we are living in the last days, maybe even the very last hours. You look at the news, you look what the nations are doing, you look what America's doing, you look at, we're on the brink of war, we're on the brink of, martial law, and so on and so forth. Food is drying up, the water is poisoned, it's getting worse by the second, okay? And this shouldn't surprise anybody, because all throughout the Bible, people are asked, give us the signs of your coming, and what will be the end of the age? Not the end of the world, the end of the age. We live in the age of grace. Now understand what I'm saying. Rest your hope fully upon the grace that is to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. It says somewhere, I don't know, where does it say? I don't even know where it does say it now, but it says, pray always that you be counted worthy to escape all these things, and that you may stand before the Son of Man. Bad things are coming. Bad things are already here, and it's getting worse. But there is a way out. There's a way out. And a lot of people are doing drugs right now because they don't see the way out. They don't see the open door right in front of them. I'm telling you, the door is open for only just a couple more hours. It could be minutes now. I'm on record for saying, and you know this, that between February and the end of September, America is going to hurt. We can see it getting incrementally, little by little, it's getting worse and worse. And you can watch all the conspiracy theorist guys out there saying, oh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Are you looking forward to that? Do you want to be part of that, or do you want to escape? The blessed hope that Christianity has is something known as the rapture, or the mothership is going to come and take us all away. Beam me up, Scotty. That type of stuff. It's real. It's real. Science is proving all this now, but there's like a veil, and they can't see the whole picture. The Bible has been saying all along what science is now affirming. I'm telling you right now that the Bible says, God only wants what's best for you. It says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may know, that you may prove, that you may be able to experience what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And with that, I'll say, have a beautiful day. It's already past the 30-minute mark, and this is probably the worst, most important verse in the Bible video in the series, but it's a labor of love. And I hope you understand that. And I hope that you experience peace for yourself. I hope that you experience sobriety for yourself. I hope that you experience the transfiguring power. I mean, that you can meet. I'm still the same crazy nut that I used to be, but my mind is totally different. I don't need to get high anymore. I'm crazy enough as it is. People out there who are still, oh, I'm a Christian, but they still hit the pipe. I want you to really think about this verse. Get a hold of this. People out there say, oh, I'm a Christian, but you're still cheating on your wife or your husband, or you're still sleeping around, or you're in a homosexual lifestyle. I want you to get a hold of this verse, okay? So that you may be worthy to escape all these things that are soon to come, and that we can stand before the Son of Man. The most important verse in the Bible, I'm telling you, Romans 12:2. And do not be conformed, be a party to be a part of, and do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, political correctness, but be transformed, hear me now, be transfigured by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Romans 12:2. And with that, I say, good night.